hand, but 81 more games to go, and he will have better games. Book it. Carmelo Anthony's debut started great, 8 points in the first half. He finished with 9 total. Anthony Davis is preaching patience. He knows how difficult it can be to meet expectations on your first night in purple and gold. Lakers and Suns get reacquainted at Staples Center. Phoenix won their first-round playoff series 5 months ago in 6 games. The rematch tips off at 7 o'clock right here on Spectrum Sports. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Chris McGee. I got a 7-time champion right here, Robert Horry. I got a Hall of Famer and a top 75 all-time, Mr. Big Game, James Worthy. Congratulations.
What's up? Thank you.
On that, big
Thank
fella.
you very much. Get the big shot
fella.
clap.
Big
Got
fella.
the big shot clap.
Big fella. We got Allie and Brez. They're going to join us in a little bit. We got Mike Trudell giving us the latest. That's coming up in a few moments. But, guys, I hate to do it, but this is what we got to start with. Injury. THT is out with a thumb. Be reevaluated in, what, 3 weeks? Ariza, he's out for a couple of months. Wayne Ellington out, hamstring, and this is the one that got me. Kendrick Nunn out, reevaluated 3 weeks from now for a new injury. Bone bruise in the right knee. I'm going to breathe, Big Shot and Big Game. Not ready for these kind of reports, but this is a big one. He's needed, and we just have not gotten to see him enough in the preseason. And just per reports of how well he was playing in camp. So this one hurts a little bit.
Yeah, very unfortunate. You know, you would think after the last 2 years, coming out of the bubble, difficult 71-day turnaround, a quick season, a lot of injuries occurred, you know, because the bodies just didn't have a chance to recuperate. And I don't know that for sure, but I think a lot of those injuries happen because of that. And, you know, just when you think you're ready to get a good season, a good, full, healthy season, you have, 4 players going down, particularly Nunn, who a lot of people thought was going to be a defensive, guy who could come in and play tough defense and also create his own shot. When he gets hot from 3, he can knock him down. He was going to be a big addition. So not to take anything away from Ellington, of course. And, of course, we know Tucker with the thumb. We know how valuable he is. And not to have, those guys at the beginning of the season when you're trying to gel, when everyone's trying to still learn one another, it really sets them back just a little bit. So it's difficult. They got enough, I think, to make up for it. But it's still tough when you're missing those guys early.
I don't think we planned on losing youth early on, Rob, right? Like THT and Kendrick Nunn. I just wasn't banking on that,
It's weird that everybody this offseason was talking about the Lakers' age and them staying healthy.
How old they are.
And here you are, the young guys are the ones who get injured. But sometimes, old guys have been through the battle so much that these injuries don't happen like they think they have because their body is used to the pounding, their bodies are used to the crazy schedule. So these young guys are the ones that sometimes get injured on freak accidents because their bodies haven't adhered to all the punishment it has to take. So for me, I look at Nunn being out as one of those guys that you can provide instant offense. I thought him and Monk coming off the bench would be 2 young guys that can give you a lot of energy because sometimes when you're an older guy, you need that spark plug in the young guy to push you over there. I know Westbrook is one of those guys who really don't need one, but I'm talking about AD. I'm talking about DJ. I'm talking about all these guys we use initials to call them out on this show.
Yeah, the other thing that I don't like about his injury is that they're going to reevaluate. It's not like he'll be back in 3 to 4 weeks. They're just going to reevaluate, and I don't know what that means, reevaluate whether you can start something. And so we'll keep an eye on that. I think he's young enough to recover quickly, and I hope that's the case.
A big story from Tuesday night was the big 3 debuting together for the first time in the regular season. Of course, LeBron and AD combined for 67 points. But Russell Westbrook did not fare so well. 8 points, guys, in his debut. Frank Vogel mentioned at practice yesterday, Rob, that he needs to do a better job of getting him going. What does that look like in your eyes? What do you think he needs?
But, for me, I look at this team, and coaches sometimes want to take the blame, but sometimes it's on your teammates too. Because as a teammate, when we see guys struggling, it's like, yo, man, we need to get him going. Let's get him in rock. Let's get him in position to be successful. And that's what your teammates always have to do, not just your coaches, because when you're on a team like this with a lot of vets, you recognize situations. You've seen almost every situation. So it's up to you also to try to get a guy involved, because you know sometimes when guys like, okay, look, let's put Westbrook on the block. And they did that one time to get him a shot, but it was a little late in the game. So I think Westbrook should just grab the rebound and just push it. Because if he pushes it and tells everybody to get to the corners, if I don't have something, kick it out to you. Like every third or fourth possession, he says, I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, there were spurts where the team was playing with a really fast pace and they looked good.
Yeah, no question. He's a guy that, can rebound and start to break. But, whenever you bring in a specialist, you bring in a three-point shooter, that's what he does. And you're going to get the ball to him, he can knock down the threes. Some guys block shots. They're specialists at that. You bring them in, that's what they do. Westbrook is a ball handler. He makes things happen when he has the ball in his hand. So you have to know when he's coming in that he's going to have to handle the ball sometime. He's not the type of guy that can stand around on the weak side a lot. He knows how to play the game. So I think, the one thing Vogel could do is put the ball in his hand from time to time, let him initiate the offense, and let him do what he does. I mean, this guy's a triple-double king.
Also playing him with lineups that fit his style could work as well. All right, let's get you live to Staples Center. Mike Trudell is first on the floor. Lakers looking to bounce back after a little bit of a letdown in Game 1. Mike, welcome.
Hey, guys. Geeter, before we get to Frank Vogel, I did have a chance to follow up on a request from one Robert Horry and passed on a message to Mark Bryant, who's coaching behind me. And he disputed, Robert, what you had said. He said you have not called him in 20 years. And then he smiled and he asked me to relay a message back to you that I cannot say on TV.
But you will text him and let him know.
Does it start with an F like in Frank?
It does. It does start with an F. It doesn't. Oh, man. Okay. Now to transition over to basketball. I was wondering, guys, so just with this Phoenix team, what does Frank Vogel think of the fact that they actually played them twice in the preseason? Of course, are so familiar from playing them in the postseason last year. And how does he think that, looking at the tape from Game 1, what can he take from that applies to this Phoenix Suns team here tonight? Here's Frank Vogel.
Yeah, well, there's a lot we could have done better, quite frankly. Controllable things that, if you're going to compete and try to win a game, you got to do these little things, execution pieces in our system that we didn't do well enough. And cost us the victory, but there was plenty of positives. We led most of the game, just let us slip away with their small lineup late, and things we can correct.
A little unique in that you played in the preseason. You played Golden State and Phoenix twice apiece. I know different lineups, different guys, but is that informative at all as you now see these guys that you're pretty familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a great familiarity with Phoenix. Not just because of the preseason, but because we played them in the playoffs last year, and they're familiar with us as well. Although we're different in some ways. It's still Bron and AD though. So it's just who's going to execute and who's going to do things better.
Is there one thing that you focus on defensively with Chris Paul and the way that they run screen roll and just the way that he runs a game in general?
Yeah, you just got to mix your pitches the best you can. Obviously there's certain things we want to do with him that are easier said than done. In terms of preventing him to get into certain spots. But we got to do them at a high level if we're going to win.
Frank, you going with the same starting group? And
yes.
Is Ayton sort of the reason for that, or what's your thinking?
Yeah, well, they present a lot of problems. They really do with their defense with DeAndre anchoring the middle, tempts you to play a smaller lineup to pull him away from the basket. But the guy shot 80% against us in the playoffs last year. So having another big out there on the defensive side of the ball, there's some value in that. So, that's where we're going to start the same way we started the other night.
All right, so there's Frank Vogel, and an update Nothing has changed in terms of the message back to you, Big Shot. I just checked in again with your old friend,
look
Mr. Bryant. And, yeah, I just wanted to share what he said before. Also, by the way, shout out to Big Game James. Think of all the millions of players across the world of basketball and one of the top 75.
No doubt.
I just want to pass that on as well. Like, we shouldn't just gloss over that, right?
No.
Thank you,
Incredible
Michael.
achievement.
Thank you, brother.
Incredible.
Appreciate it, brother. Nice to be sharing it with the Spectrum family. You know, years ago I had teammates. Now I got a new team. So it's all good. Thank you, brother.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Well said, Michael. All right, Lakers and Suns are both looking for their first win of the new season. We have the game coming up at 7. DeAndre Jordan is in the starting lineup, so